Hi there, Christoph here. As you may know, the Bitcoin icon set has had a few problems in the sense that the icons, the exported ones, the ones that are in the repo, the SVGs, that they rendered fine when they're used as images. But when they were actually rendered as vectors, there were several problems with them. And this is something I tried to fix here, and I'll go over what I did. So let's say you took some of the icons, you put them in your website via React or a Vue module, and you applied a color to the strokes or fill, then you would see something like this. And you can see, there are a lot of unwanted shapes in here. The filled icons have outlines and strokes where there shouldn't be any. And on the outline icons, you had just a lot of weirdness here going on. And there were two things that I did here. One is I cleaned up the icon export, Bitcoin icon set export helper. This is the one that takes the source icons that we actually work on and prepares them for export so they can be exported from Figma into the Bitcoin icons repo and be used there. And then the second one, that took me to this point basically, from here, from this state to here. You can see a lot of things look a lot better already, but you also see that there are some shapes missing here, like some of those circles should be filled. And the outline icons still had a lot of problems because for the filled icons, a lot of things could just be flattened and then it worked fine. But not everything. For example, also here, this pickaxe here for mining should also be filled shapes instead of outlines. So there's some issues still. And then for the outline ones, basically the plugin cannot turn fills into shapes or lines, and then you just see all of those stand out. So I had to go in and do a lot of fixes, and I'll talk over some of the issues here. So here, this Bitcoin symbol, what I did here, actually, I'll pull up my test app here, and here I can toggle the stroke, and you can kind of see how the stroke smoothly gets thinner or thicker. Now, for the outline icons, I should be able via CSS to set one stroke width, and all strokes should adjust the same. And the problem here was, why I didn't do it here, was because this Bitcoin symbol, this part of the shape, had a 0.6 pixel stroke width and not 1. So all of the outline icons, all shapes, have a pixel thickness of 1. That was also the case in a few other places here. And now I think my computer is slowing down here. The alert icon here on the left, and this is the same for the question and info icon, those were actual shapes or they were strokes that were 2 pixels thick. So I had to turn them into lines that were 1 pixel thick. Now they look okay, I think. They look pretty skinny. But if we do want to have this variable stroke width, then that's what we have to do, right? They have to be just these thin lines. They cannot be thicker. Same with there were some situations where there were filled rectangles here, and I also had to turn those into lines. And yeah, here's what it looked like. They're basically smaller rectangles with an outline applied, so they look like they're filled even though they're actually outline shapes. With the magic wand here, since I couldn't use shapes, also I had to go in and make those nicely shaped sparkles into just crosses basically, or pluses here, as you can see here. Okay, computer's super laggy. So you can see here, those are pluses now. And then I had to redraw this dollar icon here. Same in this one here. These circles here are now outlines instead of filled. Some of these here I had to split up Boolean groups. So there was a shape and another shape was subtracted from it. I had to remove that. Same thing here. Lots of minor cleanup here. This pupil here. Now the pupil itself is now an outline, which looks, I think, a little bit creepy here, but if we want to be consistent, that's just what we have to do. And yeah, now I think it looks really good. It was just a ton of detail work. And so what I do here with the icon set now is for the export process, I'll show that real quick. So here's the main page with all of the icons. Then I go to plugins, run the Bitcoin icon set export helper. It copies all the icons, it resizes them to 24 by 24 pixels, and it does 4 different things. And I'll pull up the code for that here real quick. So this is not the one I'm looking for. Here's what I'm looking for. So it does 4 things. For every single icon, it deletes all hidden children because we don't want to have invisible shapes floating around. It flattens Boolean groups. And then it also flattens rotated groups, but only on filled icons. And then it outlines strokes only on filled icons. There were some differences between outline icons and filled icons because, like I said, filled icons can really just be flattened and turned into shapes, while outline icons are a little bit more sensitive. And there's some detail in here, like when a shape, an outline becomes a stroke, then it has to be adjusted by half a pixel in the opposite direction because now the size of the shape has changed. There's a whole bunch of detail there, but I managed to kind of just work through everything, and now we're in good shape. So once you've run the export helper, you end up with a new page called Icons for Export. It nicely organizes all the icons here. These are all the SVGs. Then I can export them into the Bitcoin icons folder here, straight from the repo. These are all the PNGs here. It's good to do a check here, make sure everything looks good. A lot of things can be captured here, and this is the data file that has the list of all the icons and any properties that were set. And those properties are set here. If you look at one of those components, it's the variance, it's the size, the style, and also everything that's in here, the category that it's in, and any additional search terms that people can search them with. Then next thing that I do here now is here when I'm in Bitcoin icons, I run the Vue build. Then I run the pre-publish that creates this package that I can then import into my test projects, which in my case is called Bitcoin Icons Test 3. I use Vue UI to run this one. And then once my pre-built package is done here, that's where it turns all of the SVGs into React and Vue components. These JavaScript files instead of SVGs. Cool, now that's done. Now, since I've already imported this project into my test project, or this module, I need to first remove it again. Then I add it again. And then once that's done, then I can hop over to my application, refresh it, and then I will see all the changes that I've made here. So this is my test app that just exists locally. And here's where I can toggle the stroke, which helps me ensure that that none of the filled icons have strokes applied. And secondly, that the outline, the strokes and all the outline icons are consistent and that there are no problems, no shapes floating around, no fills floating around. I can toggle the size here, just kind of to see how it looks at 2 different sizes. And that is just my test app that helped me sort through this. And this is what the screenshots that were taken that I shared earlier. So I do hope now that the icons are in a really good place where we can publish the React and the Vue modules. I think that'd be super cool. That would also be fantastic if one of you could verify that this is actually the case, because there's a lot of detail in here and I may have missed something. So please take a look and let me know. Thanks.